Faith on Film, a program designed to keep you aware and informed on everything that's happening in the world of faith and family entertainment. Now, today is a very special show because it's going to be Holly on Hollywood with my special guest, Holly McClure. Holly, how are you?
Hey, Isaac. Good to be with you as always. And I love what we're going to talk about today because it's a fun show.
I agree. And as a matter of fact, I probably should not introduce you as my special guest anymore because you're not really my special guest. You're my co-host. So
I'm part
welcome.
of the show.
Yes, welcome my co-host, Holly McClure.
Yeah, thank you, Isaac. Thank you.
So, Holly, what are we going to be talking about today?
Well, today I'm very excited to present to you an interview I had with the director, writer, and actually a voice, Garth Jennings from Sing 2. So we're going to talk about this new movie that's out for, well, the whole family, really. It's very family friendly, and I think you're going to enjoy it. It's very different. If you saw Sing, if you saw the first one, which was, I think, 2015 or 2016, then you're going to love this one even more. Yeah. And then I have a review, an interview, and then we're also going to talk about another musical at the very end, West Side Story. So for those of you who haven't seen it, you don't want to miss it.
Oh, so today is Musical Day.
Musical Day. I like that.
I've always loved musicals since I was a kid. In fact, I participated in some in school, but it seems like musicals have kind of gone, for the most part, out of production. They're not producing that many musicals, are they?
They're not producing them, and certainly not like you and I used to see them, Isaac, because, you know, West Side Story. I mean, I remember I was a kid in grade school, but I went to the big theater, and I remember it was a really big deal for that movie 60 years ago, you know, and I mean, that's when that movie first came out. But I mean, it's like that is something that is iconic, and yes, we don't really make them anymore. I mean, there's been La La Land, and I think, well, LA Story, I guess. They call it La La Land. LA Story, they call that in Hollywood. LA Story and a few others, but not like they used to. And I agree with you. I love the old musicals.
And most of what has been produced in the past few years, actually, that deals with musicals has been animation.
Exactly. And probably because it's easier. Now, I know that they've done like, other Hamilton and other musicals, you know, off Broadway. They've done some movies based on that. But again, it's just a different tone and nature than what we used to see in the movies. Right. And I mean, we grew up on those, and that was very common. Mary Poppins, Sound of Music. I can name you a list of, Oklahoma, West Side Story, Seven Brides for Seven Brothers. I mean,
my favorite, The Music Man.
The Music Man. How can we forget? I love that. Yes. And so I think it's nice to kind of celebrate it and reintroduce children to it, because although, like you said, they're used to it in animation, it's a whole other thing to see live musical and see it woven into a story. And Steven Spielberg does an excellent job at it, so I can't wait to talk about it.
All right. Well, before that, let's take a look at the animation version one, which is Sing 2. You did a review, so let's take a look at the review, and then we'll come back. And you also did an interview with the director, I believe it was. So we're going to take a look at all that, all right?
Okay.
Okay, here we go.
This is Holly on Hollywood.
Hi, I'm Holly McClure with a Holly on Hollywood movie review. Let's take a look.
Clay Calloway is a recluse. No one's seen him for 15 years.
In Sing 2, Buster Moon brings the whole gang back to produce a new show in glamorous Red Shore City. Moon wants to impress a big-time backer, Jimmy Crystal, to finance his extravaganza sci-fi musical. Jimmy's daughter maneuvers herself for a starring role, replacing Rosita. Ash attempts to recruit the world-famous rock star lion Clay Calloway to be the big act, and Moon attempts to fulfill his dream of creating a great musical, and a lot more. The familiar voices from the first Sing are back: Matthew McConaughey, Reese Witherspoon, Scarlett Johansson, Taron Egerton, Nick Kroll, Tori Kelly, with some amazing new ones: Halsey, Farrell, Bono, and others. The PG rating is for mild violence, but very kid-friendly. At 1 hour and 52 minutes, it may be too long for little ones, but with more than 40 songs, fast-paced scenes, and colorful visuals, there's definitely enough action to keep most ages engaged. Garth Jennings, writer, director, and the voice of the most endearing Miss Crawley, has created a fun, colorful masterpiece with realistic animation, electrifying performances, and visually breathtaking artistry. Bono, lead singer of U2, makes his animated film debut as the voice of the lion Clay Calloway, and U2 wrote the song Your Song Saved My Life. The soundtrack also includes music from Halsey, Farrell, Elton John, and Billie Eilish. Sing 2 is a happy movie the whole family will enjoy together, and it reminds us all about the power of using music to heal and the importance of dreaming big and going after those dreams.
There he is. Clay Calloway?
Go away!
Don't you miss the music? You just need to play again.
No, I can't! I haven't even heard one of my songs in over 15 years. And for good reason.
I have climbed the highest mountains. I have run through the fields.
It's okay.
But I still
Your songs will carry you.
haven't found
Just sing.
what I'm looking for.
There's only one way left to go, and that's dream big dreams. That's what I always said, right? There's always a choice. Just never have the guts to make the right one. Got the robot activating piggy power. Beep beep boop boop.
Remember to choose your movies wisely.
Wow. Now,
It is a fun movie.
it's amazing. It's amazing. Did I hear you say 40 songs or did I mishear that?
40
Is it four?
songs. 40. He chose 40 songs for
Oh,
that. And I mean,
wow.
it's like one after another. They're playing music, playing songs. I was impressed with the animation because that's what gets me sometime on animated films. It either feels good and warm and fuzzy and you like it or it doesn't. And I really love the animation and it's so colorful. It takes you into that world. He said he wanted to create like a Vegas kind of look, a Miami
Right.
kind of feel, and it really takes you there. But yeah, 40 songs. And Bono released this song with U2 actually. It's their first since 2019. So this movie is their first release of a new song. So it's kind of important for them. He felt very VIP about that. Yeah,
Oh, that's terrific. So now you did an interview with the director, correct?
I did. Garth Jennings he did Sing, and he's done some other movies that you probably would know if you look him up, you would see it. But I love it. He's a family man, 4 kids, and I really feel like he hit the right note with family. I asked him about how hard it was to make a PG because you got to keep it kid friendly and not put too much adult stuff. That's what a lot of adults complain about because there's adult language or material or mature themes woven into a kid's movie, and parents don't like that. And he said, yeah, it was pretty hard. It took him 4 years to make this because of COVID. So it was a 4-year journey and 4-year process. But yeah, he is also the voice of Miss Crawley, and I think he does it. I don't know if you include it in the interview. He does it at the very end. I said, would you please use Miss Crawley's voice and invite families and kids? So I just was delighted with him. He was a great interview. One of the best I've had.
Oh my goodness. Well, I'll tell you what, we don't need to wait any longer. Let's go ahead and check out that interview now, right?
Okay.
Here we go.
Hello, Garth. Hello.
Nice to meet you. How you doing?
Good to meet you as well. I'm pretty sure you're exhausted interviewing time after time, but hey, I'm so happy.
No, it's my pleasure. I tell you what I've learned. I tell you what I've learned through this process. It's very useful to love what it is you've done, because it can carry literally the movie can carry you. I don't know if I would be standing with a smile on my face if I didn't actually love the thing we made. So maybe that's a good thing I've learned today.
Well, I loved it too, and I tell you, I talked to my son in his 30s, and I said, hey, I'm going to be interviewing Garth and Sing too. And he goes, oh, I love Sing. I love that movie. He goes, I have a granddaughter, 4 years old. He goes, Selah loves it. We play it for her all the time. I'm like, you do? He goes, oh, she loves it. He goes, good. When you come, because I'm going next week to visit. He said, we'll all go together. I said, oh, good. I get to experience it with her. So
yes, that's wonderful. Isn't that the dream, though? Isn't that I have 4 kids as well, and being able to share things.
Yes.
Isn't that nice? Whether it's music, whether it's a meal, whatever it is, like if you get to share stuff with the kids, it's the business. I love it.
It is the best, and that's
Yeah.
what makes, I call them making a memory. That's what makes a memory.
It's true. It
Able to
is.
do something like that. So
Yeah.
we're very excited. I told her this morning we get to go, and she's very thrilled. Speaking of kids, on seeing the first thing, your kids got to be part of it and help.
They did.
Did
Yeah.
they get to be part of this time, or what?
Well, a couple of them did. Now, I have 4 sons. The eldest 2 now have voices so deep that, I mean, they practically sound like bassoons these days. Hello, these guys. Hello, Dad. So they can't be piglets anymore, I'm afraid. But the younger 2 were still in there. They sounded pretty good. But they're just sort of background characters. My wife plays a little part. I tend to fold in people around me,
Yes.
loved ones and friends and colleagues and things like that. I do like that. I mean, as well as having Matthew McConaughey, you've got like my old school friend George, and so I like the spectrum we've got there.
Oh, and speaking of spectrum, you have a huge cast. I mean,
Yeah.
there's so many names you can barely spend the time naming them all, because they're all big, amazing actors and musical artists. So
Yeah.
what was it like for you? I know, getting all these collective voices together. And
Oh, dream
who
job.
surprised you the most? Who surprised you the most?
Surprised me the most? The one who surprised me the most was Bono. He surprised me in that I've made a lot of music videos in the past, and musicians can be quite vulnerable when you're filming them. That because they're kind of relenting control. They normally control everything that they do. The lights, everything is there, stemming from their projection of themselves. So when you step in as a director, you're kind of taking over that. It can be uncomfortable for a musician. I was amazed at how how he was able to just be that vulnerable with me, because that character only works if he has the 2 sides. The cantankerous kind of curmudgeon, which he could do like that, but being that vulnerable towards the end, especially, that was really surprising. And a minute I heard it, I was like, oh, that's it, we've got it. It was very effective. Yeah.
And he wrote a song for you. I mean, how amazing is that?
I really need to quit my job now, because I think we've reached a peak. That when Bono's turning up having written a song for you, and I didn't even request it, it was simply, he was so interested in the story and the passion of the character, and the fact that it was steeped in grief, and that this song would heal him. Not the song he wrote, but the story that he's going on. That his own music will be sung back with all this love and affection from the audience. He loved that, and said at the end of our first phone call, there's a song in this. There's a song, him being saved by music, and as an artist, Bono himself really relates to that music sort of has saved his life.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, and he turned up with a song, and it was never even a contract. It was just like, oh, I wrote that song. I couldn't believe it when I heard it. I couldn't believe it.
And he probably loved his character, being a lion. I mean, how majestic.
Yeah, I don't think you can do it unless he responded very quickly to seeing the image and the whole idea of it. And, he was fascinated as well in seeing the process. Unlike some of the cast members, most cast members are dashing around, and they've done this before, so they know how it works. Bono wanted to see it working and would see early animation tests and movement, and be fascinated to see how this guy carries himself and how he walks down a staircase and, turns and growls and all that stuff. It was great fun.
You created a new world that I love. It was beautiful and gorgeous and fun, and it was. I love the world you created in this movie, and I know kids will too. How hard was it for you? Because it's a long process, and you had to do it through the pandemic. So
I'm so naive. I mean, if I'm really honest, I'm incredibly naive. I think, oh, I've got this. I do that at the beginning of everything. I go, I know what I'm doing. It's going to be great. No problem, everybody. No problem. Follow me. And then you end up going, oh, very quickly going, wow, we have bitten off more than we can chew here. We are trying to build our own Vegas, inside and out. We are trying to, even behind the scenes has to be spectacular, and you can't just phone in any aspect of this. Every costume at the end was designed by Rodarte because we needed it to be fabulous, not just good. It needs to be fabulous. So we really were, in our own way, going on a similar journey to the cast of this movie. We were trying to pull off something certainly I'd never done before.
That's what I was thinking. The parallels of the journey.
Yeah. The parallels are weird. You're going, wait a minute, you're watching this film about us. There's one point where I remember Buster turns to the camera and he says, Miss Crawley, you cannot let production fall behind. Not one little bit. Is that clear? And that was like us telling ourselves, like, we are really up against it here. You better not drop the ball. We have to go, go, go. You know, there was.
Oh my gosh, I know. And people don't realize how long it takes to make an animated film. It's not like you're working on a couple of months. I mean, it's years of putting time into
this has taken over 4 years from start to finish. It's not 4 years of solid animation. That I don't know how long that is. But when you realize that each animator averages 2 seconds a week, then you start to realize, oh, okay. And by the way, that's just the animation of the character. Their clothes are animated by someone else. The fur is added by someone else. The wind, the rain, all those layers are different departments on a giant conveyor belt. So by the time you have a final shot, that is a huge amount of work that's gone into every frame.
Wow.
Yeah.
After seeing it all together, do you have a favorite scene, or do you have one that you're more partial to after seeing the whole?
I find the whole process quite moving. When you get to the end, I find it quite moving because I know what's gone into it and it works. There's this feeling of like, oh, it works. That's a beautiful moment. And as far as favorite scenes, I mean, you're always going towards the end. As a writer, you're always heading towards this ending. You need your ending to fulfill all of its promises. And so I'm really proud of the ending. I'm really proud of the whole end, from Bono singing right to the end. But that's not to discount anything that precedes it, because it doesn't work unless you have what's preceded it. And there's loads of things I love along the way. I'm thrilled with our opening sequence. I feel like it does that job that I wanted it to do, which is to put its arms around the audience and go, let's go. We are going to have a great time. And it's going to be Alice in Wonderland. And it's, you know, and it sort of starts with a lot of joy and enthusiasm. And in a way, it takes the whole movie for them to get back to that scale again. But obviously on a grander scale than ever before. So I'm really, but sorry, it didn't really answer your question specifically, but I feel like the ending did what I wanted it to do. And I'm really proud of that.
And the whole space sci-fi thing, that I love that whole thing, and I love that whole idea. The little line.
I love that it comes from Gunther, because he's such a he's got like a child's enthusiasm in a way a child will tell a story. It's like, and then this happens, and then this happens, and then it doesn't have to connect for a child. They just got to love what they're talking about. But it also works terribly well in terms of just isolating each character in an emotion, each one having a different planet. Very graphic, kind of a graphic thing. I notice a lot of those shows will do a kind of less of a narrative show and more of a kind of graphic sort of imagery, and sort of kind of like paint a picture rather than tell a story. There's a story, but it's not a deep, she's just trying to find this missing space explorer, and along the way she finds some other characters. Yeah, it's not Romeo and Juliet.
But, in doing a PG family-friendly film that adults will enjoy as well, it's not as easy as people think.
You don't have an audience here when you're making the film. You can see I'm in a room on my own. I'm working with Chris Meledandri and our artists. We're going on instinct and we're going on experience. And there's no science to that, and it's only when we put it in front of an audience do we find out if we manage to sail along that line or not. And that's an amazing experience. Literally a year ago from almost to the day, we previewed the film, and it was just joyful, really. And that feeling like, oh, it does what we built it to do. That's an amazing feeling. It really is. After all these years.
Now that you've achieved this dream, Garth, where do you go from here?
I think I lie down. I think I lie down for... and have things brought to me. No, I don't know. I'd like to make a live action film next. I have an idea for a live action film. That if there was a Sing 3, there's certainly an idea that we have had floating around for that would be terrific. But you can't plan on these things. You just have to have them there as a kind of like as something, if it goes there, that we have somewhere to start. But who knows what will happen? We really have no idea what's going to happen next week when it opens. I mean, I genuinely don't know what's going to happen tomorrow at the moment. I have no idea what is even going to happen tomorrow in my own town, let alone the world. So we'll just have to wait and see. But I can tell you that there's no shortage of love and affection here at the studio for these characters and what they could do. And just the artists working here as well. They're so inspired. I think, it's quite, it's a healthy place for a movie to grow. So let's see what happens. Yeah.
I think it's going to be amazing and bigger than you even think. Would you mind doing Mrs. Crawley, inviting families to come see this film?
Oh, I would like all of you boys and girls to come and see the movie because we took a long time to make this movie and it wasn't very easy. But we love it and we hope you do too. Bye.
Garth, you are so lovable. What a great. You are fun to interview. I mean, you can't think about everybody. You are fun.
It's nearly Christmas. Who isn't like delighted? I mean, I can't wait to sort of suddenly be, but see what happens to the movie. See what happens to friends and family again. It's lovely. I'm very happy to be here and chat with you, Holly.
Well, since my name is Holly, I'm going to wish you happy holidays.
Yes. Oh, perfect. Look at that. It's like we know what we're doing here.
Thank you again so much. I so
Lots of love and have a great holiday.
When I sit with my granddaughter and son, we're going to be enjoying it.
I hope you all have a great time.
You too. You too.
Lots of love. Bye, Holly.
Thank you. Lots of love.
Bye.
Is he a delight?
He just seems like a fun guy to hang out with, doesn't he?
Would he just be fun to have dinner with and just talk about his experience? And he's just that kind of person. He made the interview so easy, and I hope people learned a lot. I mean, you don't realize what goes into it. I didn't realize in animation that someone does the animation, someone does the fur, someone does the costuming. I mean,
yeah, well, that was the nice thing actually about this interview is getting to learn a little bit about the behind the scenes of how this animation is made.
Yes. And anyway, I had a great time. So do we have time to talk about West Side Story?
Oh, yeah. We still have 8 minutes. No, 7 minutes. We got 7 minutes left. So let's talk about it.
And I will. One more thing about Sing 2, because I just want to make sure I have enough time that we can pin here. One more thing about Sing 2 is that I think for people who I loved going and seeing if I could figure out Reese Witherspoon, if I could figure out Scarlett Johansson, because there's so many names in this movie. There's so many big names, and Halsey and other singers, Tori. So I think teens are going to love it because they're going to hear Halsey singing, and 20-somethings will love it because they're going to hear Bono and others. And I think it's got something for every age group. And that's what I think is wonderful about what he's done and put into the characters. So if you're an older person and you don't have kids, don't think, oh, well, this movie's a kid's movie. It's not for me. I enjoyed it by myself. You don't have to be a kid to like this movie. So all ages, whether you have kids or not, go see this film and really support the theater.
By yourself, no date?
No, but it was a personal screening. But hey, and it's in theater. And here's another thing. They're really wanting to encourage people to get the theater experience and to get the sound and the visual. This is a big screen production, and you need to see it on the big screen. So I encourage people to go to the theaters and support it.
All right. Well, now let's talk about West Side Story, which I'm going to be honest with you, I remember the original West Side Story. I believe one of the networks used to play it literally every year, and I used to watch it every year. And yeah, it was a little corny a little bit, maybe, especially when they would go into fighting each other and they ended up dancing with each other. That was kind of, but it worked for me, and I loved it.
A jet, I know.
So tell me about this one. Tell me about this new one.
Well, backstory for me too is like I was, younger kid, and I saw the first one and was so impressed with it at the time and thought, wow, because it was so different. And again, on the big screen and the sound, and it was new the way that they did the movie. So I was like super impressed with it. And then I watched it years later. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's so corny. It's such a corny movie. But in watching it years later, you still could appreciate Natalie Wood and, Rita Moreno. I remember an interview with her, and she said that she had to actually make her skin darker to be Puerto Rican. So she had to put makeup on to make herself darker, which she didn't really appreciate at the time, that, for being a Puerto Rican, that they made her darker. But at that time, they had to make it very ethnic. So when I found out that Steven Spielberg was going to make this, first of all, I love Steven and his work. I love everything he does. So I was like, okay, it's got to be good. But I thought it'll be innovative too. He'll do something different. And it is. I was enthralled, knowing the movie, knowing how it goes, knowing everything. I was enthralled through every scene, and I knew when the ending was coming, and I didn't want it to come because I was enjoying it so much. It takes place in New York, the way he shot on the streets and the sets. You feel like you're there. Yes, it's still got the songs and it still has the romance, and some of the lines are simple, but boy, it worked for me. And I'm so disappointed that more people haven't supported it, because the critics loved it. It's a beautiful film, but it hasn't done the box office. And I think that may be because people think, oh, musical, I don't want to go see millennials and younger kids. But again, it's got great younger actors. And I mean, I think that it could pull in, that crowd if they would just give it a chance. But for sure, parents and grandparents, take your teens, take your grandkids, take them to see this and experience it. I don't think you'll be disappointed.
Now, do you think maybe the studio missed it a little bit in the marketing of it? Because I saw a post on Facebook from one of my friends who said she was so glad she went to see it. She said, and then she made comment about how maybe the marketing hadn't been there enough to make it as big a success as it should have been. I don't remember seeing much, so maybe she is right.
A few ads and not really a lot. And here, yes, I do think I agree with you. I think it's missed it. And also, what helps is on, I work with what's called an EPK kit, and it shows behind the scenes, and it shows you clips and interviews and things with the actors, so that I know when I'm preparing a piece like what you showed, Isaac, for the review and for other things, we can stick it in there. I think they should show more interviews with the leads in this film and some of the actors. And Rita Moreno, she is once again in this movie playing a character that originally was the male character, and she plays a female shop owner. 60 years later, she's in the movie she was originally in, playing another character. And it was important for her. She's the executive producer on this. I didn't see really many interviews on Rita Moreno. Did you?
I haven't seen much of anything, to be honest with you.
Appealing to the Hispanic crowd and appealing to, this segment of America that would love to know that this is here and what a huge thing that is 60 years later. I mean, how many people play a younger character and 60 years later get to play another part in their original film? It doesn't happen a lot. So I just feel that they missed those things. They missed showing those opportunities, which I think would bring in, more of an audience. And like you said, more people would see it.
Yeah, I believe so. Well, I know we're going to go see it, and actually my grandson wants to go see it. He's 16, I believe, and he mentioned, and he doesn't like musicals, but yet he said he wanted to go see this one. Maybe it's because Grandma is Puerto Rican. Maybe that's what
and maybe that's why. And also, what I loved? I think Spielberg did this one a little grittier, which I liked. It had a little more teeth to it. It was more realistic. Yeah. Yes, they kind of go into song, which is not realistic, but the fights and the things that they did, you were really in there like they were really fighting. So it wasn't the fakey musical, we're pretending like we're hitting thing. It was the real deal. So I think if you love Spielberg and even like some of the things he's done, you're going to appreciate what he put into this. It's different.
All right. Well, we have run out of time on this show, but you know what? We're going to do a second show, because the reason that I'm doing these shows, I haven't done actually some new shows in a few months, just because of things that have been happening, and I needed to take a little time off. But I knew I needed to at least get these two, because Hollywood seems to be picking up a little bit in the releases of movies. So we're going to come back and do another show. I'm going to talk about several movies that have come out just recently or are about to come out. All right?
Yeah, one of the biggest box office ever. I mean, it's right up there is Spider-Man 2. So we're the Spider-Man follow-up. So we're going to talk about that and other films and tell people maybe what they can look for. So thanks so much. Happy holidays to everybody. Yes. I got to say that.
Yes, absolutely. Folks, don't forget, if you want to reach out to Holly, you can just do so by writing faithonfilmtv@gmail.com. You can reach both of us at faithonfilmtv@gmail.com. All right, till next week. Take care.